Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thomas. I'm the founder and CEO of MetaShape. And I'd also like to thank the organizers of the conference for having me here. About myself, I'm born and bred in Germany, close to Frankfurt. I hold a PhD in pharmacology, but I'm also an MD in internal medicine, specializing in cardiology and medical oncology. So today we're talking about this and what you're all concerned about, just like myself, the late aging and what's happening and what's associated with it. We all fear the same thing. We're getting forgetful, helpless, maybe we are a caretaking case, and that's what really drives us here to look for better solutions around that. So what's the problem? The problem is multifold. Aging is a complex process, but the underlying thing is energy. It's all about energy. We know, and I'm preaching to the converted, I think, that mitochondria are aging with us, and by exposure to oxidative stress, chronic low-grade inflammation, they just stop to produce the energy that we need. It's like when your iPhone is running on low battery, you cannot do all the things that you used to do. It's getting slower and it's getting inefficient. And that's the same thing here. So some of us are aging happily, and we can certainly do something about those wrinkles, that's for sure. And you heard that there are really great products around this conference to do that. But the real problem is a different one. The real problem is that from cellular dysfunction, we're getting to organ dysfunction. Now, the problem in aging, you name it, is we're concerned about cardiovascular events based on diabetes or accumulation of fat. We're also concerned about certainly other effects like muscle weakness, for example. And also, we just heard about blood transfusion, because a matter of fact is that while we're aging, we're losing hematopoietic stem cells, which are replacing the cellular components of our blood. And that's red blood cells, that's white blood cells, and it's also platelets. And the one molecule that is associated with preventing some of this by preserving the ability to generate energy is NAD. So there is the assumption that NAD improves insulin sensitivity, for one thing. It improves energy metabolism, and it protects the genome. So there's a ton of data, thanks to David Sinclair and other people, that NAD resupplementation by, so to say, providing the raw material to the human body will be able to produce more NAD and make up the deficiency. May I ask, who's taking NAD precursors in this room? Quite a few people. Well, I got some not so good news for you. NAD precursors do work in mice. They do also work to a small degree, as you can see from the clinical data that's posted here. To a small degree, they also work in humans. So why is that? Why do we have really fantastic data in mice, but not so good data in humans? Well, the problem is that NAD and the precursors given, they undergo degradation. So there is a difference between mice and humans, and that difference is called an enzyme, purine nucleoside phosphorylase, or just PNP. Now, when you give precursors to mice, PNP is present, but at a much lower activity than in humans. So when you give the same precursor to humans, these precursors, once they get into the human cell, are degraded very rapidly. And that's why we don't have the same effects. You just need to know the metabolism to figure that out. And that's why we don't have the same effects in humans like in mice. So our drug is a very specific, very potent inhibitor of purine nucleoside phosphorylase. Now, by inhibiting the degradation of the precursors, and it doesn't matter if this is NR or NMN or just niacin, you can just take actually the vitamin itself, we will see a statistically significant increase of NAD in the bloodstream. But not only, oh, sorry, that's the way. Some of the graphics are missing. Sorry about that. So I'll just speak about it. So it's not only increasing NAD in the bloodstream, we're also seeing significant improvements in liver function by the decrease of liver enzymes that are typically elevated in some of the elder people, particularly when they are obese. And we also see a reduction in human white fat. When we then look at some of the organ-specific, again, the data is not there, but you just got to trust me then. When we look at organ-specific NAD increases, then we have an increase in muscle, an increase in brain, and also, as I already mentioned, in the bloodstream. So here we got that, muscle and in the brain. So another advantage is when you just give precursors to humans, these precursors are degraded, and when they are degraded, they form what we call methylated nicotinamide analogs. And these methylated nicotine analogs, they enrich in the human body, and they are associated with negative impact, like they do not create insulin sensitivity, but insulin resistance. And they are also associated with a negative impact on the genome, as well as they are uremic toxins. Now, when we use a PNP inhibitor, the methylated products are actually going down. So we're also inhibiting the formation of those negative inhibitors. So the next thing is actually, how do we get such a drug approved? You have just heard a lot of things that nutrients and obviously all things that are in the natural space, you cannot get them really approved. You can't get even a patent. Now, how can we now approve a drug like this? But this is actually a pharmaceutical agent. It's a very specific enzyme inhibitor. So fortunately, this drug is lowering the bad cholesterol in the human body. So this is human data, okay, not mice. This is human data. So at a dose of only 40 milligrams, we see a statistically significant decrease in LDL cholesterol. Now, there is about 18 million people on this planet that should lower their cholesterol and take statins, but they don't. Because statins have a very bad reputation for some people about creating muscle pain and memory loss. So these two reasons are causing this significant amount of people not to treat LDL cholesterol elevation, which is associated with cardiovascular risk. So here we have a market by which we can get this drug approved in a very defined population. And when we combine it with a NAD precursor, we actually have a prescription product that can also be used as a longevity product at the same time. So this is an FDA and EMA very much approved pathway for an approval. The other thing is, I just wanted to show you this. This is obviously patented. It's a new composition of matter patent that runs until 2041, in addition to a method of use patent. So we are not running into any problems that we typically see with just nutraceuticals. Our plan is to raise 8 million as a whole, not all at one point, to bring it to an approval in LDL lowering capacity, and then in a second stage to raise more money to go into other indications that are associated with longevity or with the prevention of neurodegenerative diseases. So we are now starting an early collaboration with a group in Norway to look into the prevention and treatment of Parkinson's disease. And we're also looking into other indications with the Mayo Clinic recently. So this is our team. Vincenzo Sorrentino is working on the C. elegans and other studies on longevity in Singapore. Tom Gillingwater in Edinburgh is a specialist in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, and he's testing our drug preclinically. And then we have a strong collaboration with UCLA. So this is our team. Shanta, she actually invented PNP inhibitors. We are knowing each other now for 20 years, and she was head of biology at BioCrest, who basically was the only company that had similar highly potent PNP inhibitors like us, but they have abandoned this class of drugs. So that's MetaShape. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for having me here. And if you think that what we do is interesting, if you think that we have a good plan to get this to the market in the next few years, so everything is very close, and if you think we deliver money, so you're very welcome to speak to me because we look for investors. So far we have been raising from me, my friend and family, so you're very welcome if you want to be an investor in MetaShape. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Thomas.